Hi, hello, good afternoon. This is just a quick video about slow cookers. Now, this is one of the ones that I do have. I can't even remember where I got it from. But what has actually happened is I don't have the inner cooking pot that comes with a slow cooker. Now, I may have packed it with another item by mistake, because usually the inner parts of a slow cooker are ceramic. And I know over the years, unfortunately, I have accidentally broke the ceramic inlay of a slow cooker. And I know some of them that are now sold aren't actually ceramic, they are Teflon. Now, if you are going to use Teflon in cooking, again, it's one of those things, do you use Teflon or don't you use Teflon products? Because Teflon is actually dangerous to not just humans, but to wildlife as well. And obviously, anything that's Teflon is supposed to be non-stick. And again, it's because of the chemical elements that are used within Teflon itself. Again, aluminium. So people say don't use tin foil. Don't have toothpaste with fluoride in, but then water has fluoride in it anyway. There's all these health and safety things that constantly come out, and one of them has been about Teflon. So ideally, if you are going to buy a slow cooker, please buy one that is ceramic. The other thing is, apparently, if you look online or if you go somewhere, I wouldn't do my video without a yawn, then you may be able to get a replacement. The other thing that I heard recently as well was actually about buying plastic utensils for the kitchen. Apparently, some of them, people are being told, don't buy them because they are being made by recycled plastic, and the plastic they have used could harbour a lot of toxins. So again, it's the whole, do you drink bottled water or don't you? Put it this way, if you were in the Sahara Desert and someone gave you a bottle of water, you would drink it, okay? You wouldn't be worried about the fact that some of the chemicals from the plastic have leached into the water because of when the plastic's been heated. So I'm hoping that I do have the inner for this. They have said online, if you haven't, do not use your slow cooker without a lining, without a crock pot inside. But what I've actually done with one of my slow cookers, and again, I've only done it because it's something I would never leave unattended, is I've actually used it as a bain-marie. And it's not for water or for food. It was for melting wax. Now, what's actually happened, though, is this is why they don't want you to use it without one, is where the screw holes are. When you turn it over, you can see the screw holes there. And then again, you've got the vent with the elements and the heating in there and the stands and the information label on the... so I got this one from Asda because it says George. So what's actually happened is over the times when I have used my old slow cooker as a bain-marie for hot wax, for my arts and crafts, is where the screw holes are, the wax has actually managed to get through those holes and then come out the other side. And again, this is why they say don't use it without the inner pot in it, because what could potentially happen is if any water or liquid or fluid seeps underneath and gets into here, it could cause a fire. Now, the other thing I do with my... now that I've made it into a wax sort of bain-marie, is it's on a tray. So it's actually elevated. So when or if any of the wax does melt and go through the holes, it's not touching the elements underneath. The other thing I've also done in the past is I've actually lined this with my old one with greaseproof paper or aluminium foil. Again, because what I've used it for isn't for cooking. The viscosity of wax when it melts has a different boiling point to, say, water or general foods, and there will be information online where somebody has already worked out the boiling point and melting point of things like wax. So one of the things my little boy said to me was, no, you can't put foil in there, it will melt. And I said to him, well, hang on, when we do jacket potatoes, does the foil melt in the oven? And he went, no. I went, well then. So he actually Googled what the melting point for aluminium was. I can't remember what it is. But it wasn't high enough for aluminium to melt in a bain-marie or to melt in the oven. It would have to be really, really hot for that to happen. So again, it's one of the reasons why aluminium foil is used in catering, in cooking. And then again, greaseproof paper, he's like, but that will melt. No, that will actually set on fire if you don't line the tins safely. And if any of it touches the heating elements in the actual oven whilst you're cooking, then the greaseproof paper will burn. I know this because I learned it the hard way when I was younger. Luckily, there was a fire extinguisher available because I was at school, and we weren't taught how to make sure we only use just enough greaseproof paper in order to line the base of the like the dishes we were using to bake cakes. So all of a sudden there was this smell, and it was, oh, somebody's greaseproof paper is probably set alight. Don't worry about it. Just turn off the oven and it will go out on its own. And if it doesn't, we've got a fire extinguisher, so don't worry. So that catering day at school, home economics, I think it used to be called, I actually literally brought home a cake that I had burned, not cooked. So it is very important that you do follow the health and safety guidelines with any appliance when you purchase it and buy it. And I know not everybody reads the instructions. You know, you think to yourself, oh yeah, I know what this is, I've used it before. But every now and again, things might change, or, you know, something new might come onto the market. And just by not sort of familiarising yourself, what is it they say? Familiarity breeds contempt. You could end up having an accident. So I always say to my children, you know, if there's an instruction manual, skim it, scan it, you know, familiarise yourself with it. You know, this is the on button, this is the off button. If this light is ever on, it means that the appliance is on. So don't take for granted that you may have turned it off. Always turn it off at the plug to be on the safe side. On occasions, the knobs, unfortunately, do break. They're one of the cheapest things on them because they're plastic. And once that happens, really, you shouldn't use the appliance. But if you can't afford a new one, as a mother myself, needs must. But it's not something you would advise your children to do. But like I said, I mean, you can get replacements, and I'm hoping that I do have mine somewhere. If not, then it will be used for something, but I'm not sure as of yet what that something might be. So hopefully that has shed a little bit of light on slow cookers and, you know, sort of the do's and don'ts. And they are a really, really good way of learning to cook when you're younger as well. And again, you know, if you're working and you want something when you come home in the evening and you don't want it to just come out of a microwave, you know, people have done it on narrowboats because they've had like, instead of the normal plug that is on this one, which is here, you can actually get slow cookers that are now compatible with 12 volts and can also have what I call the cigarette lighter sort of USB type ends on them. You can get them with different ends, not just these types of plugs. And again, you can clearly see that the plug has got its safety information on it. But you can get slow cookers that are compatible for people that don't just live in a house but may have a more nomadic lifestyle. So you can get them for narrowboats, you can get them for camper vans. You can even get them for people who go camping, as long as you've got a generator, or an inverter. Then you can get slow cookers that are suitable for most lifestyles. And like I said, a lot of people will say, oh, I'll plug it in the morning, I'll put it on low, and by the time I get home after a 12-hour shift, I'm not having to put food in the microwave. I can literally just ladle it out of a slow cooker and, it's done. But again, I'm one of those people that's very self-conscious and always worried, have I left the cooker on? Have I left stuff on by accident? Because I wouldn't want to come back to burn offerings, and 2, I wouldn't want to come back to find that the fire brigade had to, put my fire out because I left the pot roast on in the oven. So hopefully that's been a bit useful and a little bit different to my videos that I've been doing recently.